Good evening. My name is Andrea Cupelli, and I'm the coordinator for the Comox Valley Coalition to End Homelessness. The coalition is made up of 29 different member agencies who are working on the front lines of homelessness and affordable housing in our community. We are honored to be able to do our work here on the traditional unceded territories of the Comox First Nation. There's not many of us whose lives haven't been affected in some way by issues of homelessness and a lack of affordable housing. Homelessness happens in many different ways: job loss, mental health challenges, domestic violence, substance use, and more. The stories that we hear are often very harrowing, but we know that people can move forward in their lives when they are safely housed. Housing is a basic human need and a foundation for a stable, healthy community for everyone. On March 11th, 2020, 60 volunteers in our community surveyed 132 people experiencing homelessness right here in the Comox Valley for our homelessness point in time count. Just 2 days later, on March 13th, 2020, the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 to be a global pandemic. On March 17th, Dr. Bonnie Henry declared a state of emergency in BC. Within the scope of those 4 days, nearly every social service agency had to shut their doors or restrict their operations, public spaces closed, businesses shut down, and the message echoed out and throughout BC, and it said, stay home, wash your hands, practice physical distancing. That was pretty hard, wasn't it? To suddenly have our lives on lockdown, the sense of uncertainty and anxiety always looming in the background of our minds. But we had sourdough bread to bake. We had Zoom meetings to attend to. We had children at home to care for, episodes of Tiger King to watch. The folks that the coalition agencies work for had a completely different experience. We were all told to wash our hands, but for someone experiencing homelessness, where would they go to wash their hands? There was no public washrooms, no running water, no access to hand sanitizer. We were told to stay home. Sure, easy. But for someone experiencing homelessness, well, I don't even need to explain that one to you all. We were told to physical distance and to keep our bubble small. But to someone experiencing homelessness, their street families were what kept them safe, and losing them could be a threat to their survival. We were told to self-isolate if we felt sick. But for folks experiencing homelessness, they may always feel sick, and some of those symptoms might mimic COVID-19. It was a confusing process to know how to get tested and how to get up-to-date information in the early days of the pandemic, let alone for us, let alone for someone who's unhoused. Unprecedented times. We continue to hear this phrase repeated over and over again. There is no doubt that the pandemic has changed the way that we live our lives. Take your experience of unprecedented and raise it by 100-fold, and you've got just a basic glimpse into what challenges and barriers those people experiencing homelessness suddenly had to face on top of so much else. But we are all here tonight in our homes for the same reason, because we care about our community. The Comox Valley Community Foundation quickly pivoted to meet the needs of our community organizations who were on the front lines of the pandemic. You were there when we needed you the most. You were there when our Connect Warming Center needed to increase our hours and operate 7 days a week to be there for our street community. With strict health and physical distancing measures in place, Connect was able to offer COVID-19 symptom screening, education, a washroom, health supplies such as hand sanitizers and masks, a place to charge your cell phone, access Wi-Fi, and a cup of coffee. You were there for us as we encouraged our staff at Connect to continue to help folks to fill out housing application forms, to offer referrals and access to living supports. You were there for us while 30 to 40 people a day continued to access Connect despite the pandemic. Because you were there, our guests left us comments like this: "I came here to get out of my isolation. It gives me hope." This place has been a big help in connecting me in a financial support worker who is helping with reintegration and rent for housing. You have been more than kind to me, and I appreciate it. This is a safe place to be that includes mutual respect, mutual dignity, caring, and friendship. You were there for us when we told you that the city had offered us to use the Lewis Center shower facilities if we could find staffing and supplies to make it work. You knew that in the face of this pandemic, how important hygiene is, and that without this service, there would be many, many unhoused people who did not have access to a shower. You supported us as our staff operated the shower program and also acted as an additional health screening checkpoint, providing education and information about COVID-19 and other community resources. Because you were there, our guests told us, "I would be dirty without these showers. It keeps me healthy. I'm happy this is happening. Where I live, there's no water. It's hard to wash without water. Thank you. We can get clean. We have no worries. You guys are amazing. I appreciate the clean clothes. It doesn't exist anywhere else, and we are very lucky." And my favorite quote: "When my toes are twinkling from the nice soap you supply, I feel like dancing and saying thank you. When I brush my teeth, what's left of them for now, I know I'll crunch food again." There were over 4,000 visits to Connect and the shower program between the start of the pandemic and the end of July. You were there when the coalition desperately needed motel rooms for those experiencing homelessness to self-isolate, receive food, outreach support, and medical care. These were people's mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, daughters, sons, grandparents who were given the opportunity to experience safety and security during an extremely uncertain time. Because of your support, in conjunction with Island Health's vulnerable population COVID testing and motel response, we were able to show the province that our community was in great need. And BC Housing made available 42 motel rooms for those experiencing homelessness to live in during the pandemic. These motel rooms include 2 meals a day, daily support visits from outreach workers, on-site security, and weekly visits from physicians. The rooms are full, and there is a wait list for people to get in. Because of you, motel residents had comments like this to share: "When I first got here, I was in rough shape emotionally, and the outreach team helped me, made sure I had groceries and anything I needed. The team really works together to provide a non-judgmental, down-to-earth, easy-to-talk-to vibe. They also helped me move in the middle of a pandemic. That is true dedication. I will always be grateful." Because of you, we felt supported even after our programs were secured. You listened to our experiences and asked questions about how we could further support the work that we were doing. You truly paid attention to our needs and recognized the extraordinary circumstances faced by local organizations. Because of this, the Community Foundation Board of Directors agreed to fund core operating costs for the upcoming year. Now that is unprecedented. You made us feel valued, trusted, and supported. Because of you, relationships grew. Many of the organizations that you support one another. Our bonds grew because of the pandemic. Agencies worked side by side, supporting one another, sharing resources, bridging programs together to help those who needed it the most, sharing insights, or honestly just commiserating over what sometimes felt like a never-ending Zoom calls, often going late into the evening. Because of you, we feel that we are not working alone. Our work here is not done. The pandemic has highlighted the amplified disparities between people who are housed and people who are not. The coalition knows that despite our best efforts, There are many more people in the community who are not housed, and we predict that as the pandemic goes on, we will begin to see an increase in homelessness due to factors such as the end of CERB, evictions, an increasing housing market, low vacancy rates, job loss, heightened domestic violence, an opioid crisis, and an uncertain future for some of our service providers. The Coalition is doing everything we can to create a concrete response plan to keep vulnerable, unhoused community members safe during the pandemic and to ensure that permanent housing is always an option for people. We know that whatever we do, you have our back and you have our community's back. So together we can continue to provide these much needed services. I want to thank the Comox Valley Community Foundation for helping the Coalition and our member agencies to get through these extremely tough times. As one of our friends who utilizes the shower program puts it, personally, I don't think I would have survived without you guys. And we feel the same. Thank you.